Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. So this video marks the end of the week number 41 in this Road to 100k Realized Return Challenge, and it was a week that went into different directions with regard to our holdings because the QQQ continued is upward trajectory for came from last week. As you can see here, even though it was a little bit below on Tuesday and Wednesday, it ended up recovering quite a bit, and so it ended up the week positively relative to the beginning by a slender margin, but still, because there were some moves that we were not expected. For example, this one right here on Tuesday, which was a kind of ungrateful one because this is actually when our only loss for the week occurred here. And so basically because our stop loss was triggered at the top of this candle right here, but then because it came immediately down, basically it's as if the market just play games with us. It went high enough to trigger our stop loss and then came back down again. And so that is why here after this loss, because this option was an option with a strike price of 489, after that we simply sold again the same option, because that's what made sense. The stock immediately came down after, and because even though it went close to the same level as before, but by this time it had no longer the same value, at the same time value, and so because of that, the stop loss was not triggered again. But yeah, it was an interesting one. And here, even though we had these moments right here, this particularly this one right here, it was a very sharp rise. At this point we were triggered, our stop loss was triggered as well, but because we already had gained, we had already some unrealized gain at this point in time. And I'm just going to put in here the time for the Central Europe. As you can see, at this point in time, we already had some unrealized gains at the start of the of Thursday, and so because at this time, particularly when this strong upswing happened, I was not in front of the screen, but before I left the screen, I adjusted the stop loss so that if there was an upswing, the stop loss would be triggered while still I'm having some gains. And so that is why we managed on Thursday. Here, as you can see, we sold the option and received a premium of 17 cents, and then we were triggered at 15 because that's where I put the stop loss. And so we ended up having done almost nothing on that trade, but still it was better than simply letting the stop loss being as it was originally and having a loss again. So these kind of adjustments sometimes needed to be made, but then because the stock remained pretty much where it was here all the way through, we managed then to get more money out of the other option that we sold here at 498. And we were able at the end of the session to sell another one at 490 for $5 more in premium. Overall, these were the main pinch points of the week for the QQQ. Overall, we managed to come away with a profit of $142.50. We are not counting these options that we sold on Pfizer, because they will only expire next week. And it was an interesting one because, as I mentioned at the beginning of this week, when I tried to sell 27 contracts on Pfizer, only 4 were filled because those were the only ones who were available at this strike price at 27. However, during the next coming days, I tried to sell the remaining 23 ones, and both on Tuesday and on Wednesday, we managed to sell one contract at 2 cents here, as you can see. And so, but then we were not able to sell the other ones, the remaining. The remaining was, which I believe were 21 contracts. But yeah, we can still sell them, try to sell them next week. Now the interesting thing about Pfizer is that again, after the news came out here, as you can see here, this is the weekly graph. We had sold a call, a put here when the strike price was 23. Here is more or less here at this level. However, the news came out that I believe a new FDA president was appointed, and this person is allegedly very much against vaccines. I think this was the main point, or the main thing to say about this person, and because of that, all the big pharma stocks came crashing down, and they never recovered. And because of that, Pfizer, mostly because of that, Pfizer ended the week at $22.31. So our the puts that we sold were exercised by the buyers, and so now we were forced to buy 300 more shares. So our total now is 340 shares. However, because we bought these 300 additional stocks or shares at $23 here, as you can see, I already made the calculations, and now our average price is 21. So we no longer need to sell calls on Pfizer with a strike price of 27. We can just go for the 26.5, which will do just fine. We would be glad to be able to sell these shares at the price of 26.5. Currently, it's not available for the 2 weeks after, for the 2-week option. Here, as you can see, it's only 1 cent, so probably we're not going to bother too much in trying to sell these options. We have to see if the stock rebounds next week, because if it rebounds, these calls are likely to appreciate, even though they are very far out in the money. But yeah, we have basically, this is what we have to do to try and sell and eventually lower the average price of our holdings to a point in which we can then sell at least breaking even and keeping all our premiums. But yeah, this is basically what we need to do. There's no two ways about it. I'm not sure if the stock is going to recover to the level we want, or the level that we want, which is $26.50, give or take. So we will have to buy more shares, sell more puts, and then hoping that they are exercised to buy more shares, and then eventually be able to sell. For next week, we will do basically the same thing. Now we don't have more cash to sell more puts on Pfizer, so we will have basically to accrue more premiums, and then when we have the money, we will try to sell more puts on Pfizer. That's the way we need to go, and then with the proceeds, we will either try to most likely try to sell more puts on the QQQ to lower the average price, because of course, given the large loss we had previously a month ago, and the current acquisition price of these 300 shares, we are a long way off, and so it would be very useful if we could lower the average price of these holdings. But this is something that we need to concern ourselves only in the future, And for the time being, this is all. Feel free to leave your comments in the comment section below, and of course feel free to like the video and subscribe to the channel, and we'll reconvene at the beginning of next week to start the week number 42 in this challenge, and I'll see you there.